Star Trek reveals why Chief O'Brien is Starfleet's most important officer. Across Star Trek's expansive universe, populated by starship captains, legendary diplomats, and science officers who regularly save entire civilizations, one character stands apart quietly, humbly, and often begrudgingly. Chief Miles O'Brien, the everyman of Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine, has long been celebrated by fans as the franchise's most relatable character. But recent explorations into franchise lore, retrospective analyses, and new canonical nods have finally clarified something fans have suspected for decades. Chief O'Brien may actually be Starfleet's most important officer. This revelation doesn't come from his rank. He's a non-commissioned officer after all, or from glamorous accolades, which he never chases. Instead, it arises from the combination of O'Brien's technical genius, moral backbone, battlefield experience, and pivotal influence on galactic events. When you put the pieces together, it becomes clear that no one in Starfleet history has quietly held together as much of the Federation, as literally and metaphorically, as Chief Miles Edward O'Brien. The unmatched expertise of a career engineer, O'Brien's importance begins where Starfleet's idealism meets mechanical reality. While captains debate ethics and science officers unravel cosmic mysteries, someone has to keep the ship running, the transporters aligned, and the space station from exploding. Throughout TNG and DS9, that someone is almost always O'Brien. His brilliance with transporters is legendary. During his TNG years, he solved problems that baffled top Starfleet engineers, such as retrieving crew members from impossible conditions, stabilizing pattern buffers under unprecedented strain, and improvising solutions in emergencies where failure meant certain death. Starfleet has countless officers who specialize in warp theory, quantum physics, or subspace mechanics, but O'Brien is the rare figure who masters a staggering breadth of systems and holds them together under pressure. This versatility becomes even more pronounced on Deep Space Nine, where the station's hybrid Cardassian Federation architecture creates engineering challenges no training program could prepare for. O'Brien had to learn Cardassian systems from scratch, repair technology designed to be intentionally obfuscating, and retrofit the entire station after the Dominion War began. In many ways, DS9 becomes an engineering character in itself, and O'Brien is the one who keeps that character alive. Most importantly, he does all of this without the luxury of resources available on starships like the Enterprise. DS9, hanging at the edge of contested space, constantly lacked parts, personnel, and stable conditions. Miles O'Brien kept it functioning through sheer ingenuity and a seemingly endless reserve of improvisational talent. And in Star Trek, where survival often hinges on a transporter beam or a reactor coil, an engineer who can always find a way is arguably more valuable than any famous captain. The emotional core of Starfleet's frontier era. If O'Brien's engineering expertise makes him indispensable, his emotional strength and moral clarity make him irreplaceable. One lesser discussed aspect of O'Brien's significance is how frequently the franchise uses him to anchor the emotional stakes of its greatest conflicts. He is a veteran of the Cardassian War, a survivor of brutal shipboard combat, and a man who has seen the Federation's utopian ideals tested in ways that few other long-running characters have. This makes him not only a technical specialist, but a moral barometer. Characters like Worf, Kira, and Sisko grapple with the philosophical and spiritual dimensions of war, but O'Brien shows its impact on the everyday person, the engineer far from home, the officer who must keep functioning even as trauma accumulates. His deeply human reactions serve as the audience's emotional compass. When O'Brien says a situation is dangerous, unfair, or morally compromising, we believe him. Episodes like Hard Time, The Wounded, and Hippocratic Oath highlight his willingness to confront his fears and prejudices head-on, evolving into one of the franchise's most empathetic, grounded, and mature figures. This emotional grounding is critical to DS9, a series that explores moral ambiguity more deeply than any previous Star Trek show. And among its ensemble of intense, philosophical characters, O'Brien stands out as the reliable, steady heartbeat. Without him, the station wouldn't just fall apart mechanically, its crew dynamic, its sense of community, and its connection to the audience would collapse as well. Starfleet's most experienced warrior and survivor, O'Brien is also, quietly, one of the most experienced battle-tested officers in Star Trek history. Before becoming Chief of Operations on DS9, he fought on the front lines of Federation conflicts, particularly the brutal Setlik III massacre during the Cardassian War. His experience informed his cautious, realistic worldview and made him uniquely prepared for the Dominion threat. As tensions escalated around the wormhole, O'Brien's military history became a guiding force behind DS9's readiness and tactical effectiveness. During the Dominion War, O'Brien wasn't just repairing bulkheads, he was designing weapons, upgrading starships, and implementing station-wide defenses that proved instrumental in multiple battles. Without his innovations, DS9's survival during episodes like the Siege of AR-558 or Call to Arms would have been significantly less likely. What's striking is how little recognition he receives. Admirals and captains often get the medals, but O'Brien is the one building the devices that actually win wars. He tinkers, calibrates, reconfigures, and on more than one occasion saves the quadrant using nothing but tools, grit, and sleep deprivation. The hidden legacy: O'Brien is the officer who made DS9 work. More than any individual character, O'Brien is Deep Space Nine. When he arrives in the series premiere, the station is a rusting, barely functional remnant of the Cardassian occupation. By the end of the series, it is one of the most strategically vital and technologically advanced installations in the Alpha Quadrant. That transformation is due primarily to O'Brien's leadership in engineering. He is not simply fixing things, he's designing new systems, reverse engineering alien technology, collaborating with Starfleet R&D, and training an entire generation of Byron and Starfleet engineers. His contributions effectively reshaped the station into Starfleet's frontier stronghold and later a symbol of Federation resilience during the Dominion War. O'Brien is the quiet architect of DS9's evolution. Without him, the station would have collapsed in Season 1. With him, it becomes the single most important location in the quadrant. O'Brien's influence ripples through Starfleet's future. Fans often joke that Miles O'Brien has suffered more trauma, temporal distortions, and near-death experiences than any other Star Trek character. But from a narrative perspective, these events underscore an important truth. Starfleet constantly relies on O'Brien because there is no one else who can do what he does. Even after his departure from DS9, O'Brien's legacy continues. Canon suggests he later becomes a celebrated instructor at Starfleet Academy, so celebrated, in fact, that a future timeline memorializes him as the greatest hero of Starfleet history. His students go on to shape the Federation's future, carrying his ingenuity, humility, and practical wisdom into new eras. This is the ultimate acknowledgement of his importance. O'Brien isn't Starfleet's most important officer because he commanded the most famous ship or negotiated high-profile treaties. He is Starfleet's most important officer because he kept its most vital outposts running. He protected its ideals through the harshest wartime trials. He maintained the technology that enabled starships to explore in the first place. He trained future generations to inherit the mantle of exploration and defense. He is the glue that holds the Federation together. The everyman who became a legend, Miles O'Brien's story resonates because he represents something rare in science fiction, a hero who becomes indispensable not through